Cellular aging is the buildup of damaged proteins and worn-out cell parts faster than the body's recycling systems can clear them. Does a high intake of protein equate to cellular longevity? Observations suggest no. Excessive protein intake, where it does not justify expenditure, does not appear to support physiological longevity, and the metabolic cost of processing certain proteins may work against long-term cellular health. Unregulated and unequated protein intake over the long term appears to link with chronic aging and states of dysfunction. This week, we consider the cellular mechanism sitting underneath protein quantity, long-term high-protein diets, and how protein malnutrition, in terms of excess, is associated with unintended physiological consequences. We understand that, unlike fat or carbohydrate, the body has no dedicated storage system for excess protein. When intake chronically exceeds physiological need, that surplus must be processed and excreted rather than stored, and if this becomes frequent over a period of time, how does the body deal with it? Protein has the highest metabolic cost of all macronutrients. Therefore, energy requirements should justify intake, the use and spend. Protein is necessary, and a healthy source and intake, based on individual needs, are necessary. We also understand that sarcopenia, muscle wasting, is a problem of inadequate protein intake, and even more relevant to adults over 65. But for ages under 65, exceeding what the body actually requires appears to drive growth signaling pathways that work in opposition to cellular longevity. Malnutrition, in its technical sense, isn't only deficiency, it's any imbalance, deficiency, or excess of energy or nutrients that impairs the body's form or function. That means there is such a thing as protein malnutrition through excess, not just through scarcity. It has a quantity dimension, intake far above the requirement, and a quality dimension, an unbalanced reliance on a single protein source at the expense of dietary diversity. There's a grotesque irony in developed regions. Malnutrition is typically associated with scarcity, yet nutrient-imbalanced eating, built around abundance rather than variety, is a documented pattern in high-income regions, which may look like digestive sluggishness, low energy, and reduced mental clarity, plausibly linked to gut microbiota disruption. Sources suggest that sitting underneath the body's IGF-1 response is a growth signaling pathway called mTOR, and high intakes of dietary protein, particularly those rich in branched-chain amino acids, are pathway triggers. This anabolic response is what builds muscle, but sustained stimulation of mTOR and IGF-1 together appears to suppress autophagy, the body's cellular recycling and cleanup process. According to Kitada and others 2019, high animal protein and BCA intake, especially from red meat, linked to markers of accelerated aging, largely through this same growth signaling route. Autophagy is the body's most efficient cellular recycling system. It clears out damaged proteins and worn-out cell parts, mostly during periods without food, like between meals or overnight. And mTOR acts as the cell's growth switch. When it senses plenty of protein, it flips into build mode, and cleanup gets dialed down to make room for growth. It is observed that keeping that growth signal switched on for long stretches by excess intake and frequent snacking, autophagy, the cleanup simply gets fewer windows to run. Growth and cleanup are hard to run at full capacity at the same time. The question this week is what high intake of protein, in terms of workload and processing burden, does over time. Research on high-protein diets links sustained intake to kidney hyperfiltration and glomerular strain, the organ-level effect we explored in the last segment. Separately, research into macronutrient metabolism and aging points to protein's growth signaling route through mTOR as a direct driver of cellular aging. This is the metabolic cost side of the longevity question, a cumulative effect. So, both can be true. Protein for growth and repair, yet periodic breaks for cellular health. Cellular cleanup matters here because it's the mechanism, not just a side effect. Autophagy clears damaged proteins and organelles, the same maintenance process that high, sustained growth signaling appears to suppress. It's worth being precise about what the findings actually show. These associations are typically tied to higher protein intake, sustained over longer periods, and appear more pronounced with certain protein types, particularly animal-derived sources, than with metabolic workload from protein processing alone. Additionally, an unbalanced high-protein diet often displaces other vital nutrients. Animal-based protein sources contain no fiber, and prioritizing them over plant foods is linked to fiber shortfalls, altered gut microbial diversity, and reduced short-chain fatty acid production, according to Aoun and others, 2022. So, periodic protein moderation may support autophagy, mirroring some benefits associated with caloric restriction in generally healthy adults. And, where long-term athletic health matters, this is something to consider. Based on individual suitability and health status. Subscribe, go deeper with holistic high-performance health.